For real, like, we got a state trooper who supposedly was catfishing a little girl all the way across the country and actually went to where this little girl lived and killed her whole family and tried to kidnap the little girl. Tried to kidnap the little girl and take her back where he was at, and he killed her whole family, a state trooper. This shit is fucking crazy, bro. First we got a fucking border patrol agent who's turned into a fucking serial killer. Now we got a fucking state trooper who's online looking for little girls and going to kidnap them and killing their families. Bro, what the fuck is going on in America?
And around the world. We're going to stay in Southern California, specifically Riverside, for our next story. It's a bizarre story. It's a tragic story. It's a story you probably will be shocked to hear more about. This Virginia police officer catfished a teen girl, traveled all the way to California, and ended up murdering members of her family. I know it sounds almost too
all the way from Virginia to California for a little girl he thought he met online just to go kill her family and try to kidnap her and take her back to Virginia. This shit's crazy, bro.
Believable to be true. We're joined right now by Fox 11 Los Angeles reporter Haley Winslow. She's outside of the home, I believe, of the family. Haley, what more do we know? Walk our viewers through this. This is the first some of them have heard of this.
Andrew, the details of this will just break your heart. I mean, it is absolutely gut-wrenching. This is the home where the fire happened and where the triple homicide happened. And friends came by earlier today to light the candles again as the sun disappeared into the night. This is still a crime scene.
This is a Virginia state trooper who was online talking to children. And he was so enticed that he decided to travel all the way across the country to go to this little girl's house with the intentions of kidnapping her and taking her back to Virginia after he decided he was gonna kill her whole family. He thought because he was a state trooper that he could do something like that and was gonna be able to get away with it. Come on, man, this shit crazy.
Investigation, one of 3. And next door, the lady had just taken her turkey out of the refrigerator the day after Thanksgiving, walked in the backyard for a second and saw the smoke in the back of the house and went to the front and saw flames coming out. That's when she called 911 on her next door neighbors, who she says were more like family, the most loving people, she said, you could ever meet.
So he killed the little girl family and set her house on fire. State trooper traveled all the way across the country to kill a little girl. To kill her family, kidnap her, and he thought he was gonna do that and set the house on fire and be able to go back to Virginia with the little girl as a slave or something, or as his girlfriend or something. What's in these people's minds? What makes him feel that that was okay to even think about? And he's a trooper, a state trooper.
This son of a that did this, he just has no clue what he took away from this world.
For more than 20 years, they were next door neighbors, and the best kind.
Every neighborhood needs a Winnick family because they just were the all-American, loving, caring, supporting family that you can ever ask for.
Early afternoon, the day after Thanksgiving, Riverside police say Sheriff's Deputy Austin Lee Edwards out of Virginia brutally murdered Mark, Sherry, and their 38-year-old daughter, Brooke Winnick, then set their Price Court home on fire.
It was a very disturbing crime.
How did he even get in their house to be able to even do that? Did he just come all the way from Virginia and break in and just start killing them? What was the little girl telling him? Was she telling him that he needed to do this to be with her or something? What would drive this dude to do all this shit? What would drive this dude to drive all the way from fucking Virginia to California for a little girl and kill her family and try to take the little girl back with him to Virginia? What's going on in the minds of these people in positions of authority?
Crime scenes. This guy is or was a monster. This guy's a pedophile. He's an online predator.
Detectives say he was after Brooke's 15-year-old daughter. Home at the time, he'd met her online and drove his car across the country to meet her with ill intentions.
This man was a state trooper who was online talking to kids. So when you see To Catch a Predator and all that shit, and them cops who be waiting on them predators to come out to put them on the ground, some of them same cops be predators themselves.
They say he was catfishing, pretending to be somebody else. In this case, a teenage boy, when in fact he was 28.
The online deception.
This man is 28 years old. State trooper, young guy. 28 years old, state trooper, young guy. And this is on his mind. Going online to talk to underage kids, underage girls, and in the hopes to go meet them and live happily ever after you can kill their family. So just nobody will know about you in her relationship. What the fuck is going on, bro? Like, damn, like, bro, when you think about it, like, the trooper, the border patrol agent turned serial killer. Now we got a fucking state trooper who drove all the way across the country to meet a little girl, and then he killed the little girl's family and then tried to take the little girl back with him to Virginia. What the fuck is these people thinking?
Catfishing, other techniques happens daily. It's probably going on right now somewhere in the country, in our county. As much as being a parent isn't fun sometimes, I have been there, you've got to check their devices. Put filters, have parental controls on these things.
Parked in another neighbor's driveway, they left. That woman who described the girl as in distress gave police his license plate. Officers tracked them down halfway to Vegas and say during the pursuit, Edwards lost...
He was halfway to Vegas. He was on his way back home.
Lost control while shooting at police and their chopper. The girl managed to escape to safety, and police returned fire and killed him. Edwards had worked for too long.
This man was on his way back to Virginia with the little girl. Police helicopters had to get on top of him and follow him. Now he knowing the gig is up. He starts shooting at police and shooting at the helicopter. Think about all this for a second, man. This man was a state trooper who went from Virginia to California to go meet an underage girl, and his intention was that he was gonna go kill her family and take that underage girl back to Virginia with him. That's what his goal was. That's what was in his mind. He gonna go kill her family and take her back with him. In what world is he living in? What can he see that will make him think that's okay? What world is he living in? Or what world am I living in? Because I thought I was living in a world where people didn't think like that. People that would never cross nobody's mind, because that's not what we, we wake up every day and we look outside, when we see shit, we don't think about what he's thinking about. what him being a state trooper is like, for him to be thinking about this, what type of shit has he done already?
Law enforcement departments in Virginia with no priors or marks against his name.
We don't even feel comfortable affiliating him with law enforcement because that's not.
See, look, they can say we don't feel comfortable affiliating him with law enforcement, but he is law enforcement. He was one of you guys, just like that Border Patrol agent was one of you guys. So when they go bad and y'all put the ex trooper, ex officer, and ex this and ex that, he still was doing all that shit while he was one of y'all, around y'all, in y'all area, y'all circumference, and y'all was still treating him like he was just a regular officer. Cause y'all ain't know. So what did I tell y'all? Y'all need to be doing some more thorough evaluations on the people that y'all hire as cops. But everybody wants to talk about gun laws and how gun laws need to be more stricter and all that. It should be more stricter to be a cop. It should take more tests and more all that shit. Psychiatric evaluations and shit. Thorough psychiatric evaluations. A lot of them every year. You know what I'm saying? Every year you should ask them motherfucker questions to see, or whatever, evaluate motherfuckers' mental to see what's been changed. Yeah, see what's been changed. Every day you should, you know what I'm saying? Not every day, but every 6 months or something, they should be evaluating these cops, because it's a lot to be a cop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a lot. Your life in danger every day. But you signed up for that. You signed up for that. Nobody signed you up for that. Nobody put a gun in your head and told you to be a cop. You wanted to do that.
What someone in law enforcement is about.
He left a community torn apart, 3 family members dead, and a young girl who will likely never be the same.
This bastard come out here and did this to them unnecessarily. There's no reason for it. None. I just can't make sense of it. I'm gonna miss them so much. I'm really gonna miss their love and their compassion for people.
There is a GoFundMe set up in the Windeck family's name that you can contribute to if you feel so inclined. And the really other disturbing part of all of this, Andrew, is that Riverside police here think that there very well may be more teenage victims, either in Virginia, California, really anywhere across the country. And they are looking into that with a fine-tooth comb. They have...
See? Because he did something like this, no telling what he did before. He's a predator. And at the same time, he's a state trooper while he's a predator. So it's like, come on, man. That shit crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? For him to drive all the way across from Virginia to California to do that, who else have he done drove across country to pick up and their parents didn't find out and they just went missing? And he done took them back home and did what he did with them and they never be found. You know what I'm saying? That shit fucked up, man.
This scene, they have the officer-involved shooting scene, and then, of course, the trail online. Reporting live in Riverside, I'm Haley Winslow. Back to you, Andrew.
Yeah, Haley, just a couple of questions. What do we know about maybe some of this suspect's family back in Virginia? Has any of his friends spoken out? Do we know anything from that side of this? Are they reacting to this, no doubt?
I did ask police about that today, and they don't know of any family that's come forward yet. He worked for the state trooper. He was a trooper, and then he also worked for the Washington County Sheriff's Office. He was a deputy. Sorry, this neighbor's trying to come out right now. They've been going through a lot and are being very kind with the media in their cul-de-sac for the last few days. It's been really hard on this neighborhood, and thankfully we've met some amazing people here, but it's been, as you can imagine, so hard on this community. They have lived here for 22 years.
Wow.
And the next door neighbor grew up with the 15-year-old girl and grew up with her parents. And I mean, talk about just heartbreaking. Listening to her today and really getting to know her today, it's been really hard on them. But no family from the Edwards side of things has come forward yet. There is still so much unknown. I will say, though, Riverside police did say that they do believe that he would have done some bad things to the 15-year-old girl.
That's what I'm saying. So if he was intending on going to get this girl, kidnapping her and taking her back, how many girls did he go get that they family didn't know that their daughters was missing? They maybe just ran away to his truck and he just took them back to Virginia and then did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how the people that's supposed to be the protectors and all that shit be the ones that's committing the most evilest acts. And that's really what's going on around this motherfucker. When you think about the levels of power in the acts they commit, that's really what go on. People that's around this motherfucker abusing their power. That's what's going on, man. A lot of motherfuckers around here abusing their power for evil. Abusing their power for evil.
As well, if she hadn't managed to escape.
Do we know where she is tonight? Is she staying with family?
She's in protective custody. I can't imagine what she's going through or how she'll ever recover from this. But she is in the color guard at the local high school here, Arlington High School, and her grandfather was a softball coach at that same high school. And it's going to be really hard on all the kids that go to school there. I'm sure they're reaching out to her for support, but the neighborhood here as well. Really, this whole Riverside community, it's a big community. It's pretty torn up about this. It's a wild story and pretty heartbreaking.
No, it's just so wild, bizarre, tragic, all of the above. Haley Winslow.
Man, that shit fucked up, man. That shit fucked up, man. This motherfucker drove all the way across the country. We're gonna watch this motherfucking police press conference. But yeah, man, state trooper drove all the way from Virginia to California to catfish an underage girl, killed her family, set the house on fire, and tried to take the girl back to Virginia.
Good morning, and thank you for coming to our press conference with the Winnick family and the Riverside Police Department for this awful series of events that have occurred. I'd first like to call up Michelle Blandon. Michelle it was her parents and her sister who were murdered. She's going to come up here and read a statement, but she's not going to take any questions. Michelle?
Damn, parents and sister. I don't even see how she be in her right mind to be able to talk right now in front of the news and all that.
Good morning, and thank you for everyone for being here today. My family and I truly appreciate the love and the compassion that we have received thus far in this trying time. To our neighbors, our friends, and our family members, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the outpouring of well wishes. We have heard all of you, and we appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Nobody could imagine this crime happening to my family, to our family. Especially it just being one day after Thanksgiving.
Damn, a day after Thanksgiving, what was on his mind was going all the way across the country to meet an underage girl, kill her family, and bring her back. That was what was on his mind on Thanksgiving, the day out. That been on his mind before the day after Thanksgiving. He been playing that shit ever since he been on the internet talking to her. So if he got a family at home or whatever, And he had Thanksgiving with his family. I mean, he had Thanksgiving with his family thinking about what he was finna go do the next day. Sick ass motherfuckers out here, man.
It was just a few days ago that we all celebrated together that Thanksgiving of blessing and gratefulness. And we recounted many of those blessings that we had in our lives together on that day. We had a family debate, and it got heated on if the brownies my mom made should be frosted with sprinkles or just left plain. It seemed silly at the time, but that's a conversation and a debate that will forever resonate in my heart. Little did I know on that day that would be the last time that my husband and I would see my parents and my sister again. The next day, while we were out buying Christmas lights for our home, I received a phone call from my parents' neighbor of 22 years. They were best friends. They looked out for each other. She called to tell us that we needed to get there as soon as we could because my parents' house was on fire. This is the home that my sister and I grew up in since we were little. I couldn't get there fast enough. We left everything in the shopping cart at the store and took off. When I had arrived at my house, we had learned that something more tragic had happened. In a time where communities are afraid to report
But think about it, usually at the store, your people, them neighbors call you, hey, your mama's house on fire, get over here. You just get over there, you just go over there, the house on fire. Man, little do you know, man, it's a motherfucking horror scene. Some shit you ain't even think twice, that shit ain't crossed your mind. That had went on.
strange sightings. The loving neighbors on my parents' street saw an unfamiliar car and they immediately reported it to authorities. Ultimately, this is our community and we need to look out and care for one another. Making that call from that neighbor saved my niece's life. And that neighbor is a hero in our eyes. If something like this horrific tragedy can happen here, in our neighborhood, in our community, it can happen anywhere. Sad.
It can happen anywhere. And the thing about it is, it was a state trooper that was the one behind it. Like, how you supposed to look at the police the same? Like, all these police officers and border patrol agents and cops and doing all this evil ass shit, like, how is it ever supposed to be any trust with law enforcement?
We were too late to save my dad, Mark, my mom, Sherry, and my youngest sister, Brooke, from that vicious crime. They are forever in my heart, and I miss them deeply. In this tragic moment of our family, our grief, we hope some good will come from this. Parents, please know your child's online activity. Ask questions about what they are doing and whom they are talking to.
There's kids and grown folks. It's everybody. Everybody need to know what the fuck you doing online and watch what you doing online and watch all the information you putting online and all that shit.
Anybody can say they're someone else. And you could be in this situation, which I do not want for the world. This horrific event started with an inappropriate online romance between a predator and a child.
Predator / state trooper. You know what I'm saying? She need to put that out there. She need to let that be known.
We have some solace that this person will never harm anyone again, especially a minor. But we also want to make it very clear that we do not applaud his death. This was an adult that traveled across the country to kidnap a 15-year-old girl, my niece, our family member, with the idea to kidnap her and kill and devastate our family. He took an oath to protect, and yet he failed to do so. Instead, he preyed on the most vulnerable. When you hear the term catfishing, you think of a long-running dating show or series about a national sports figure, both glamorizing and sensationalizing online relationships. However, in this instance, catfishing led to the deaths of the 3 most important people in my life: my dad, my mom, and my sister. Please, parents, guardians, when you are talking to your children about the dangers of their online actions, please use us as a reference. Tell our story to help your parenting, not out of fear, but out of example of something that did happen. My sister Brooke was a loving single mom who did her best to raise her 2 teenage daughters in a loving way.
I'm just trying to think, like, what made him have to kill a family, though? Like, I don't understand that. Like, what made him have to kill a family? Like, I don't really understand that. Like, I don't really understand that at all. Was it just like a whole kidnap play move? Like a whole just, I'm gonna come down there and just, and when she found out who I really am, she gonna have to come with me because I'm gonna kill her family and kidnap her? Or was it something else that was playing, like, I need to go down there and kill her family in order for her to come with me, type shit? Like, was that discussed between, like, both of them or something? Like, why did he just, if they was talking online and she was supposed to run away with him, why wasn't it just like she just, like, he was there or something and she just ran away? Why did he feel like he had to kill her family? I don't know. I think it's something else more to that.
She supported them in their school endeavors and enjoyed watching color guard performances and choir concerts for both of her children. My sister was an avid collector of the famous Starbucks tumblers.
What do you think, though? Like, don't you think, like, if he came and like they was talking online or whatever, and like, what was his need for killing the family? If she was planning on, only reason his need to kill the family is that she didn't want to go with him. Because if she wanted to go with him, I mean, she could have just left with him.
Right.
But it's like,
he probably just sick in the head. He probably like, if he gotta kill her, he gotta kill.
But he was planning on taking her back with him to Virginia.
Unless he wasn't planning on bringing her back.
I don't know.
Every release day, I would get a text at 4 a.m. from her, wondering why I wasn't waiting in line with her
right now. What you
to pick up the newest release. My dad, Mark, the silly old man that I always referenced him to be, was a soft-spoken and humble man who would go out of his way to help a friend or stranger in need. He was known on their street as the one to depend on if anyone needed anything. In 1993, his love for coaching high school athletes began at La Sierra High School, where I had the privilege and the honor of not only calling him dad, but also coach, as he coached all 4 years of my soccer team. He continued coaching high school sports at many schools in Riverside County and ultimately found his home at Arlington High School, coaching the softball and the baseball teams. He was a man with a big and caring heart who unselfishly gave to his student athletes. My mom, Sherry, the matriarch of our family, with the biggest giving heart imaginable, did anything and everything for everyone and never needed or wanted anything in return. She loved my sister and I, along with her 4 granddaughters, with every ounce of her being. She enjoyed baking with us, and the highlight of the year was baking and decorating Christmas cookies. And that is a tradition that I will carry on as we go forward. My mom always said that God puts people into your life for a reason. And in this time of tragedy, he has done just that. He has brought so many great people into our lives and to help us navigate through this terrible ordeal. We are so amazed and overwhelmed and grateful for the amount of affection and support from friends and strangers. Without this assistance, we would be lost. My husband and I are very grateful to everyone who has reached out. We are just ordinary people living with an extraordinary circumstance. There are no words for the gratitude we feel for the outpouring of support that we have received, and I know that we will continue to receive. For my 2 young nieces who are now left motherless, we hope that this community can wrap your arms around them and lift them up. They have the most difficult journey ahead, as they are minors and they don't understand everything that has happened. We hope and we ask that this community continue to shelter them, protect them, and wrap them in their arms and continue to lift them up. Please positively support them. We have started a GoFundMe page in honor of my parents and my sister, Winnick Family Fund, in which it will be used to help my nieces, my sister's 2 children, live their best life and start a college savings. Thank you to those that have already donated and to those that will. We are eternally grateful. Thank you for giving up your time this morning to be here and to support us and honor the lives of my mom, my dad, and my sister. They lived and loved selflessly. And in the words of my favorite New Kids on the Block boy bander, Donnie Wahlberg, spread love and love will spread. Thank you.
Man, this family gonna be that shit devastating, man. That shit fucked up.
I'd now like to bring up Allison Soros, a close friend and advocate for the family, to make a few comments.
Good morning, everyone. The number of you here is a testament to those those parents, those teachers, law enforcement that are all concerned about what transpired that gave rise to this press conference today. My name is Allison Saros, and as I was introduced, I'm here as a friend, a longtime family friend of the Winnick family. I'm here as a parent, and I'm also here as not as their attorney, but I am an attorney. And I'm here because I spent over 15 years as an LA County Deputy District Attorney before leaving the DA's office to kind of shift gears and pursue working with teenagers in the mental health space. I became a licensed counselor, and I worked as a school counselor in the schools for several years before leaving and
I want to know if anybody feel like the little girl deserve any of the blame for this.
How old was the guy?
He was 28.
When she was 15?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't gonna lie, probably that's her fault too.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I mean, right now I don't really know, man. Like I said, man, I don't know, man. It's fucked up, man. State trooper, you know what I'm saying? He drive, state trooper drive all the way across the country to go meet a little girl, and he killed her family and set the house on fire and try to take the little girl back to Virginia. Like, how wild and mind-blowing does it get? That's just some mind-blowing shit. That shit mind-blowing. Like, they ain't put the whole Virginia State troopers, all that shit under investigation.
going into private practice where I focus on young adults and teens and mental health and criminal cases that involve mental health related issues. And so when this happened, I jumped in to just help negotiate the system. I'm here voluntarily to just do what I can, as all of you are, to help get this family through this horrible, horrific situation. To get here, it took a lot of work on behalf, as all of you know. Not only has the Riverside Police Department gone out of their way, the compassion, the expertise, the dedication that every single member of law enforcement and this agency has shown is unparalleled. And that's coming from someone who has worked with law enforcement agencies for years. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and the California Highway Patrol are to thank for what transpired here. The Riverside Fire Department, the San Bernardino County Fire Department are here and need to be thanked for what, for their involvement today. And the other agency that I believe is here today is the Riverside District Attorney's Office. And as a former Deputy District Attorney, victims of crime is one area that really is emphasized and needs to be addressed from a global perspective. In this situation, the Riverside DA's office did something that you don't really see very often. When there is a crime and it gets referred to the DA for a filing because someone is prosecuted, the District Attorney's Office Victims of Crime steps in order to provide support and resources for those victims of crime. But when there is not a filing, oftentimes it gets missed because law enforcement is not the one handling the victims of crime. And so you have someone who commits a crime, let's say a murder-suicide, and now there's no one to prosecute. Oftentimes we have victims that are left without support or just knowing where to go for support, not because of any malintent, just because of a difference in agencies.
But I don't understand, why does it matter if the person who did all the bad shit is dead or alive? I don't understand why they're like
handling that. I have a client who was the victim of a home invasion robbery when he was in his early 20s, and he was pistol whipped and left for dead and transported to the hospital where he remained in a coma for several months afterwards. As you can imagine, he suffered physical issues, but also mental health issues that led him into my office as a client
When he came to me, I asked him if he had received services and help, and he said, no, they never apprehended a suspect. So no one helped him get the support he needed as a victim. Riverside DA's office in this particular case took it upon themselves to independently.
Why does it matter if they get a suspect or not? He's still a victim of a crime. So he don't get help or something unless they get the suspect who did it? So he just beat his pistol with himself and beat himself up and left himself for dead?
Reach out to Shelley in this case to offer services and support. They did it immediately Monday morning, first thing when their doors opened. When the handling advocate was not available because she was off that day, they had who handles the homicide cases. She handed it off to somebody else who immediately called me. We spoke on the phone, and we have already put in place supports for trauma counseling, for assistance with funeral expenses. So to the DA's office, thank you. I know many of you as members of the press are here today in order to help understand what happened last week. And I'm not here to answer those questions. The investigation is ongoing. But I think the question we all need to ask ourselves isn't what happened that day or the next day, but why? And what can we do as parents, as community members, as educators, as law enforcement, in order to make a difference, to raise awareness for what's going on? Tangentially, I work in conjunction with a nonprofit called I Can Help. It's an organization that was started by a school teacher that helps promote social media safety. For instance, the director explained to me this morning that Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram all have access to put parental controls on their phones. And this organization helps educate school resource officers and administrators in helping students have these conversations. So that if a student knows that their friend is engaging in conversation with people online that they shouldn't be, they're not afraid to say something, they know where to go and what to do. I know the family is really concerned about this issue, and they are happy to further engage in conversations about this. But at this time, they have a lot of work that needs to be done to bury their family members. And so we ask all of you for privacy while they get through the next couple of weeks so that they can regroup and then help share their story in doing so. I'm here to answer questions with regard to the family. So after we finish, after you hear from the chief, then I will stick around if anyone has any questions that I can answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. I'd now like to have come up Riverside Police Chief Larry Gonzalez to make a few comments.
Good morning, everybody. Larry Gonzalez, Police Chief here in Riverside. I'll be brief. Most of this was covered wonderfully by Michelle and Allison on some of the things I was going to talk about. But I first of all want to say, on behalf of the entire Riverside Police Department and the entire Riverside community, that our hearts go out to the Winnick family during this time of tremendous grief. And like I said, it's really a tragedy for all of us. Early on in this investigation, our detectives learned that the suspect was in fact a law enforcement officer out of the state of Virginia, where you heard before, traveled all the way from Virginia to commit this heinous crimes. And just to kind of let you know, when these type of investigations are ongoing, you've heard this a lot from us, it's still ongoing, it's going to be lengthy. Similar to physical crime scenes like we have at the home, detectives also have a digital crime scene to investigate and comb through evidence that could help us learn more of the details about this online relationship that you heard earlier about, and maybe possibly what some of the intentions he may have had. This is still a very active and extensive investigation that will take time to continue to unravel. We believe the suspect, as you heard before, was engaging on an online enticement called catfishing. It appears that the suspect met the victim online through a common form of enticement called catfishing, where we believe he portrayed himself as a teenager to develop an online relationship with her. Excuse me. This is a broad category of online exploitation that includes sextortion, in which a child is being groomed to take sexually explicit images and or ultimately meet face-to-face with someone for sexual purposes, or to engage in a sexual conversation online, or in some instances sell or trade the child's sexual images. This type of victimization takes place across every platform: social media, messaging apps, gaming platforms, etc. Some of the most common tactics that are used to entice children are engaging in a sexual conversation or role-playing as a grooming method, asking a child for sexually explicit images of themselves or mutually sharing images, develop a rapport through compliments, discussing shared interests or liking their online posts. This is also known as grooming, or sending or offering sexually explicit images of themselves, and also pretending to be younger, which appears to be the case in this investigation. Also offering an incentive, such as a gift card, alcohol, drugs, lodging, transportation, or food. Most importantly, this is yet another horrific reminder of the predators existing online who prey on our children. If you've already had this conversation with your kids on how to be safe online and on social media, please have it again. If not, start it now to better protect them. I don't have anything else, and I think we'll be around. We'll have Ryan come up for questions. Thank you.
So yeah, man. End of the day, man, Virginia State Trooper drove from Virginia all the way to California to do some crazy shit. Police end up catching him on his way back, trying to kidnap the little girl. He killed her mama, he killed her grandma, killed her granddaddy. And he tried to kidnap her and take her back to Virginia. Police end up catching up with him. Thank God the neighbors was able to see his car and let the police know. They end up catching up with him. He end up shooting at the helicopter, shooting at the police. They end up returning fire and killing him. And that's the end of that, I guess. But now we know what the Virginia State Troopers and other state troopers and police officers capable of. So when you see all these shows about Catch a Predator and all that shit, put that shit past nobody. Same motherfuckers who arresting them motherfuckers at the end of the show, those be the same motherfucking predators too. They just have you having a badge. But yeah, man, like this video, subscribe to all of YouTube.